Let's take a look at walk score as a way of judging how pedestrian friendly our new neighborhood may be. So I'm going to plug in, this is the page. I'm going to plug in the addresses that I've lived in the past to see how each address compares in terms of walk score. So this is where the home where I was born. I wasn't able to walk at all for the first 2 years, and of the years that followed until I was 16, I wasn't permitted to drive. But the walkability of the neighborhood was 37 by this walk score figure, with the nearest spaces being Subway, then McDonald's for coffee, and ultimately Walmart. It was Hills before. And we can use a Street Smart walk score calculator to get a more complex view of how walkable the neighborhood is. Scores a 25, extremely car dependent. It shows some categories for places that we may wish to walk to, and a measure of the pedestrian friendliness of that area. So now that we've seen one address, let's take a look at another, where I moved to when I left for college. This is Shoreland, the dorm near the lake that the University of Chicago sponsored and recently sold off. There's 0.09 miles from Bar Louie with a walk score of 86. I had Bonjour Cafe nearby, Open Produce, which is a new addition to the Hyde Park community. And my Street Smart score there was a 66, somewhat walkable. So you can see the Street Smart score here demotes the walkability of that location, of that property, taking into account likely pedestrian paths. I spent many years around 5300 in Kimbark in off-campus housing. The score of 88, this neighborhood was very walkable. Third World Cafe, Hyde Park Produce, a park just next door, libraries readily available, and the Street Smart score comes out to an 84 relative promotion for that area. An extremely walkable neighborhood. Let's skip ahead to Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a walker's paradise. When I moved here, I noticed immediately that the distribution of amenities in the neighborhood was ideal for a committed walker. It was not necessary to have a bike. It was helpful, but not necessary. And it certainly wasn't necessary to have a car. It actually made life harder, for me at least. If we take a look at the transit score, it shows excellent transit, 89, with 17 nearby routes, 11 bus and 6 rail. It had a tremendous amount of transport options. And if we take a look at the Street Smart score, it's comparable to the walk score. 98. It's effectually a promotion itself too, with the following categories of goods and services: and dark greens for practically every category. Now let's see how that compares to where I've moved since. Moved to Cleveland, to a suburb of Cleveland called Beechwood, and the walk score fell from the 90s down to a 32, an extremely car-dependent area. The nearest place is 9/10 of a mile from me, a deli and a grocery store. And the public transportation options have fallen significantly too. I can take these routes, but they don't come nearly as frequently as the routes in Chicago or Philadelphia, and they're quite a bit farther from where I'm located. Let's take a look at the Street Smart score. It's a 21, pretty low. And I have the amenities and properties broken out by category again. And we can see that the walkability is really restricted to schools, parks, and the proximity of bookstores. If I'm looking for groceries, restaurants, shopping, or coffee, it's not easy to get to relative to other locations indexed by walk score. Now, there are a few things to pay attention to here on every page. One is that as we move from a space that's very walkable, like Chicago, 53rd and Kimbark, to a place that's car dependent, like
it's
Beechwood,
0:30.
We lose step count. We lose a great deal of just day-to-day exercise, moving about, locomoting our neighborhood. And it's an aspect of continuity of care, knowing that the space that you're moving to does not support a pedestrian walker lifestyle, especially with American step counts as low as they are relative to any other nation on earth.